the cage is so big, and you're so fast, and you're so good at what you do. Do what you do. Don't put yourself under too much pressure.
Can Conor beat Nate?
If he fights the perfect fight, for sure. It's a big ask because Nate's so good and Nate's so aggressive. But I think he fought the wrong fight trying to knock him out instead of playing the game. Yeah, you don't have to win by knockout every time. You just win. So it's like Muhammad Ali. Look at Muhammad Ali. You tag him 3 or 4 times and you get out and you move and you don't get hit. Hitting people is the easy part. Not getting hit's the hard part. So. And then if you look at Nate's face after the first, he had blood gushing down everywhere, but because he's so tough and so has that desire to win himself, it's hard. So you gotta Muhammad Ali, stick and move.
Yeah. As a fighter, what do you make of the whole Conor McGregor phenomenon? You've been watching him for a few years. I remember when he was, fighting here in England and was getting the titles before he went to the UFC. When you see that, what do you see? Do you see marketing genius? Do you see fighting genius? Do you see a bit of both?
Marketing genius, yes. And you can't not want to watch his fights. He's so good at selling the product. Like the first Aldo fight, I made sure there was nothing planned that day. And then when he was fighting Nate the first time, there was, you had to tune in. And now for the rematch is going to blow figures off the charts. It's going to be such a massive event. It's just a shame we didn't have him for 200, but at the same time, it's not 200, but it's going to be bigger than 200 because I dare say more people will tune in for that fight than they will for 200 because it's got classic written all over it. And the same, like we were talking about this before, who will change their game plan, what adjustments are going to be made, and will it be the same result, or can Conor shock the world and beat this massive giant who is Nate Diaz?
Yeah, I think people forget how tall Nate is and long he is. And
so good and so aggressive.
And so good. Yeah, and so resilient.
It's
funny because I even get caught up in the Conor hype wave, and I've been watching the Diaz brothers for ages. I love Nick and Nick and Pride and all that stuff. I mean, I watched forever, and those boys just don't get knocked out. They just don't, and it's uncanny. So to think that they would all of a sudden, it's just that Nate took so many shots there, and again, Conor was really pushing it. And I remember watching that first round, and you kept seeing Conor kind of fall over after those punches, and it's just like he's just putting too much into those things. But at the same time, very hard to predict what was going to happen.
It looked like he was going to win. It's like, oh my God, I think he's going to win this if he's going just by the first round alone. But this time, Nate's going to have a proper camp too. So you can imagine him with a 10-week prep, and because he's doing his triathlons and he's so tough. And the last one he was drinking and whatever else, and just rocked up and won. So to imagine him, and then in his after-fight speech too, said in theory if I was fit I wouldn't have got hit at all. So it's going to be really exciting.
So. And what do you think Conor should not do? Do you think there's certain things where you're like, okay, sometimes it's too much, or sometimes being the champ can get to you? Yep. Do you think he puts too much pressure on himself?
Yeah, I think he's created his own monster. Where before he'd predict round 3 or predict round 2, but it seemed like the last 2 or 3 fights, it all had to be round 1. I'm going to get out of him round 1. You're just a bum. You're round one. Where if he had to just again, like we're just talking about before, thinking you head 5 rounds and then if it happens, it happens. But yeah, I know he wants to be the next Muhammad Ali, but it's so hard. And then again, if round 2 comes and you haven't knocked him out, and then you're in the 4th, in the 5th rounds, you've got that mental pressure. It's like, oh, he's still here. I'm making a fool of myself because I called round 2 and he's here in round 4. So, but if you just knock him out, it's still cool. It's just, but I don't know. It's his thing. I'm different.
It feels like with Conor, he puts all of his money on not black, but black number 13, and then it wins, and then he leaves all the money on that one number again. And when I heard he was fighting Diaz, I was just like, what the hell is he doing? And I'm like, of course he's doing that. Like, that's what Conor does. He just doubles down on himself and just raises the stakes, like no other fighter would.
Yes.
Most fighters would just be like, okay, let's sit back, let's think about it, let's maybe go to 55.
Yeah.
But that's what Conor does, and I think that's why we have to watch him. You
Yes.
know, and it's just, yeah, we can't not watch. You know, when you have to watch, that means it's a pretty good fight. Right?
Yes, when the rematch was done and they were talking about 155, and he said, no, I want to do it at 170 again, because if I do it at 155 and win, there's always going to be that question mark, oh, you couldn't beat it at 170, so you have to do it at 150. So I can't give the guy enough credit. It's like, man, that's hardcore. That's man points right there.
Continue watching this fascinating conversation for free by clicking on the link below to visit our website, learn from the best minds in the world, and connect with a community of passionate people building the best versions of themselves. Just click on the link below, and I'll see you on the inside.